Everybody, it's Scott again from Oak Ridge Community Church. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Theology and Culture. In our last video, we started talking about responding to people who are, quote, deconstructing their faith or leaving the Christian faith. We're going to continue that discussion in this video. But I want to begin by first saying this. I want to encourage us, if you did not watch the first video in responding to deconstructionists, that you do so. That'll give you some background to what we're going to be talking about today. And again, I want to give you a definition of what we're talking about. When this word deconstruction is used, it has many different facets to it, and people define it differently. But there's a part of a definition by John Bloom that we are using as we discuss how we should respond to people that are thinking of leaving the Christian faith. He says, quote, deconstruction is a critical dismantling of a person's understanding of what it means to be an evangelical Christian. And that's what we're going to deal with. How do we try to help these people that are thinking of walking away from the faith or have walked away from the faith? In our last video, we noted this, that when someone abandons the faith, that we are to show grace to them. That according to Ephesians 4:29, we are to say words that fit the situation. And sometimes that means being tough. Sometimes that just means being very kind and gracious, which we should be all the time. But we're not to be silent, and we're to seek God for wisdom and how to respond. So that was our first point. A second thing that we need to be willing to do is that as Christians who are committed to our faith, we need to do our homework so that we can answer honest questions that people have. Many who have left the faith were unwilling to objectively consider their own reasons for walking away. Someone had told them that certain things in the Bible were not true, and they bought into that, and they were not willing to themselves do the homework. So you and I, who are committed to what we believe about Christianity, need to know why we believe what we believe. Because there are those who are genuinely looking for answers to some tough questions. So 1 Peter 3:15 tells us to be ready to give an answer to anyone who asks us a reason for the hope that is within us. So we have to study not only the Bible, but we need to understand why we believe what we believe and to know how archaeology supports the Bible and things like that. A third point is that we need to ask questions of the person who is deconstructing. In other words, questions like, why did you decide to leave the faith? Or was there an event or a person who offended you to the point that you started to question God and who he was? Now, this helps us in knowing how to respond if we can find out reasons for their departure, from the faith. When we do that, don't mock them, don't deride them, don't get all over them for their questions or for their struggle. We just need to try to get to the bottom of what has led them to that point in their life. That's our third point. A fourth point is this. We must be willing to challenge them. Sometimes we let people just walk away and we think, well, I don't know what to say to them. I don't know what to do. And so they just leave the church or they leave behind Christianity, and they're out there adrift spiritually. Now, we are to challenge them. We are to do so in love and caring, but we need to be totally honest with people. Know enough to show that the historic Christian faith is based on the life of Christ and the integrity and truthfulness of the Bible. Don't let them wiggle out of the conversation by bringing up the Crusades, as we talked about in our last video, or how God handled things in the Bible in ways that they didn't like or they would not do. Deconstructionists usually are honest enough to admit their subjectivity, their reworked worldview, we could say, that what they see in the world as to what they were taught regarding Christianity and God is now different and has led them down a path that they are on. But they're willing to admit that much of it is subjective, what they think, what they feel. And so we have to sometimes challenge them with objective historical evidence. If there is no objective truth, if someone believes that, then we can pretty much believe, do, and say what we want. That's part of the problem when you don't believe in objective truth. A fifth point, and this is for those of us that have not forsaken what we believe, is that we do not need, now listen to this, we do not need to deconstruct our faith to somehow make our faith in God stronger. There are some out there saying, well, what you need to do is pretty much tear down whatever you believed, and so you can rebuild it and make it stronger. I don't agree with that at all. I don't think there's any evidence of that. This does not mean that we don't, wrestle with hard questions at times. We do. But we also, as committed followers of Christ, based on our view that there is a God who knows what is happening and hears us when we seek answers, will help us either to find what we're looking for or we will grow to trust him. But most questions regarding the Christian faith, even the tough ones, have been answered. There are many books out there that deal with these hard questions. And so keep that in mind. You and I do not need to deconstruct our faith to somehow deepen our faith. And most people who deconstruct their faith and leave their faith behind don't come back to evangelical Christianity. Some do, but many don't. So we, as Christ followers, must be in the Word of God, know the history of Christianity, draw close to him, and that will strengthen our trust and faith in him. Many deconstructionists live by what they see and feel, and this leads to a collapse in many areas of life. We then must know what we believe and why. But the 5 things, real quick again, when someone abandons the faith or is thinking about it, show them grace, ask, do our homework, so when people do ask us honest questions, we have the answer. That's the second point. Third point is to ask questions of the person deconstructing, trying to get at why did you decide to leave the faith behind. The fourth point is we must be willing to challenge them. Sometimes we're afraid of their response. Well, we shouldn't be. We need to just challenge them with objective facts. And the fifth thing is, and this is specifically for Christians, we do not need to deconstruct our faith to make our belief in God stronger. Thanks for joining with me. I pray that these will help you if you're dealing with somebody or interacting with somebody who is thinking of walking away from the Christian faith. God bless. Have a great day.